of kindness yet for the days of old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for the days of old lang syne.
And the crowd to a man have stayed here, and a moment ago the Fremantle players stood back and ushered off the Fitzroy players in their last game. And I can promise you that some of these hardened professionals who've been around league football for more than a decade has had tears streaming down their cheeks as they left. Some of the older ones and some of the younger ones. There's Alan McConnell, and what a task he had. 2 short stints at the end of last year and this year to coach the Lions. There's Jeff Hogg in his last game of football. Brad Boyd, the skipper. And what emotion has been shown here in Fitzroy's last game of football. And congratulations to the Fremantle people who've played a role here in honouring a club that's 113 years old, 111 years older than they are.
Great respect, Drew, isn't it?
And people stayed, and the theme song, which I'm glad to know is going to be retained when they go and make it the Brisbane Lions, that Marseillaise, the French national anthem, it's got to be the best theme song in footy.
Terrific, and very respectful too of the Fremantle club and the people in West Australia here who really, some people here may not really appreciate the real history of Fitzroy being, you know, with their sides here, fairly new in the competition compared to the history of that club. So I feel very proud that the people here have done that on behalf of the club, which is great.
Some highlights now of this game, Fitzroy's last.
Yes, and they really did struggle throughout the course of the day, Drew, didn't they? And there's a good chase there on young Bamford, but managed to get the handball away to Marty Warry, who finished up kicking 4 goals. So he gave them something to look forward to in the forward area. But Matthew Burton was pretty good in the ruck. Primus had to battle both he and Jeff White throughout the course of the day, and it's a big ask for one player to be looking after a couple of players. And this is a fellow I thought was probably best on the ground, Craig Callaghan. Bit of quality about this bloke, and to run this far, control the footy, then finish off with a goal. A lot of players can do that because they lose track of where they are and their legs tire. They lose their direction, but it was a good effort. Pike battled a bit today. His opponents, 2 or 3, were pretty effective. There was his spider interfering here, but Primus there, that's a great snap for a big fellow who doesn't have a lot of skill in terms of kicking the football. He tends to handball a lot, but that was a great effort. Bit of a fumble there by Scotty Chisholm. Brad Boyd involved in his last game. Fitzroy as captain, of course, he's definitely one that's going forward to Brisbane. And it looks like Chris Johnson's another one. And Scotty Chisholm was involved a bit today. He finished up with about 17 kicks and also had kicked 2 goals. So he's a fairly effective player. And there's that intercept by Gavin Mitchell, who warmed to the occasion today. I thought he started pretty slowly, but finished up himself with quite a number of possessions. And I think he'll be pretty pleased with his last match of the season with 25 touches. Simon Atkins found it pretty hard today. Didn't get much of the leather at all. Was under pressure mostly. And there's that great grab by Marty Warry from behind. Had to have a jump like that, and he was conceding height to Steve O'Reilly. As I mentioned, he finished up with 4 goals, Marty Warry. So some positives, Drew, in that for Fitzroy. I'm not sure, obviously, that doesn't have much of an effect on their future, but for some of those players looking to be making themselves as attractive as possible, not physically, but just in terms of their prospects have been selected by another club. Some did it pretty well today. I think that pretty well tells the story, even though Fremantle, again, can be a bit frustrating. They were good in parts, but the pressure applied by Fitzroy in some parts not so good. And we go down the page there, centre hit-outs 26-8. You can see there that Primus was just overrun in the end by both Burton and also White. And of course then centre breaks, with that number of hit-outs going your way, you'd expect that centre breaks would favour your side.
The AFL Centenary Season, proudly brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors Australia, Qantas, the Australian airline, Foster's Lager, Mobil, Nike, Coca-Cola and McDonald's.
Now, for the last game for the season, the last game ever for Fitzroy. Roscoe, your votes?
Well, I couldn't put a Fitzroy player in there, but three Dockers players. Callaghan, as I mentioned, I thought was best on ground for the quality of his work. Peter Mann, I thought, played very well in a position that's terribly difficult to play anyway, particularly in the Dockers. And I must say the third position, one vote was up for grabs, but I thought Chisholm, for some of the stuff he did, was very clever, and he gets my one vote.
Gee, viewers will understand why with the replay coming to the Dockers, and Fitzroy finished the season with just one win. And now for the big one today at the MCG. What a finale to the season. We won't say any more. We'll take you back to our Melbourne studio and the host of the replay, Malcolm Blight.